Next, we're going to go over an arm throw, and first what I'm going to do is go over a couple different grips. Also talk a little bit about shoulder position and hip position. We'll get into some of the throws and some setups and some other type of things that will be useful in terms of both completing the throw as well as some variations and also some finishes. First, the grip. For me, I like two different grips. One I like is from the outside, and the outside grip is above the elbow, or above the crook of the elbow, and I try to latch on to the inside of the bicep. I'm not here because if I'm too low, one, it's hard for me to get my shoulder position in deep enough from this position. Also, two, it's not too difficult as I'm coming in for him to be able to pull out. Whereas if I have this tight here, I've got a much better grip. There's a lot of friction between my hand and forearm as I lock down here. Okay? So from the outside, I like coming to this position. Now, the next thing is where I'm putting my shoulder. What I want to do is get in my back step position, again, leading the foot in the direction that I'm going to be traveling with my hip. As I step, I want to get my shoulder tight within this socket here. I'll be wedging it in almost like a ball and socket. So I really want to get this tight in here with my shoulder. And when I do that, I step to this position here. Now I want you to notice it's not here. My shoulder isn't all the way through. My shoulder isn't here. Okay, in other words, this didn't go through at all. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit my shoulder, the front part of my deltoid, right in this socket right here. So I'm going to step to here, to this position here. Get this in tight. Notice too my elbow. As I come down here, if my elbow is up and my arm is up, you'll notice I don't have as good grip on the arm. But if I lock down here, from this position, there's a lot more friction of his arm against my body and less likelihood that he's going to slip out. So in the arm throw, your grip its main goal is to get a lot of contact so that you have a lot of friction. And that's what's going to control the arm to allow you to get your back step in and actually throw the person without them sliding or slipping out. Once more, from this position, I'm going to start up here. Might be popping the head as I step in from here. Now this is going to slide down at this point. I'm starting here, but when I slide in, you're going to notice there's an L-shaped here. This comes to my body here, and I'm down. I can lock over here, down, but I'm going to put basically my hands together like this, tight. I have a lot of friction here. He's not going to pull that out. Once more, starting from the bicep position. I'm not going to start from here. I'm going to start up here. And as I slide through, you're going to notice my hand does come down, but notice that's after I get the angle here. And notice, turn around here, I've got a lot of contact. I usually just come straight down here from here. I'm not through here. That's too deep. This is too shallow. I want to come right here, and I want to lock down. Notice elbows. Down. Down here. So I'm very tight when I come through. Down here. Okay? Second grip. Inside control. This is my palm on the outside of Colby's bicep here. I'm going to do the same type of thing with my shoulder. I step, my hand comes over, my elbows come down from here to this position. To this position. This position. So I step from here. This comes through. Boom. And down and around. Here. When I throw, remember, I'm not going to be throwing straight. I'm not just going to try to bring them straight over. As I throw, I'm going to be popping my hip out, but I'm also going to be turning and torquing around the axis of my spine. So I pop this way, but I'm also torquing my body this way at the same time. Your hip position. So we talked a little bit about a grip outside, a grip inside. Each time the shoulder position is the same. Each time, whether I'm outside or inside, I'm always trying to latch down my elbows to my body so that I have a lot of contact with his arm, whether it's my grip is outside or inside. Where am I putting my hip? I want to pop my hip towards the outside of Colby's hip. In other words, if I'm traveling through this direction here, I want to get to this position. This is too shallow. I don't want to get all the way over here. That's too deep. So I'm going to pop them right about here. And when I step, if I'm stepping with my right leg here, I should basically, the crack of my butt should be hitting him right in the hip here. Boom, like that. Okay, this is too deep. This would be too shallow here. A good way of practicing is just going back over and over and over that so you get that hip position down. The other thing to practice too is naturally, if I want to throw, I just can't be latching onto this. And we'll talk a little bit about this in setups, but you know, as Colby tags onto me or touches me, and I pop here, boom, I need to get the timing down so as soon as he touches, boom, I go with it. Okay, and that just takes practice. But part of the practice is with your back step. The other half of that practice is securing the grip quickly. And of course, the final step is being able to tie the two together. The first preparation for a throw is simply going to be to circle your opponent. That'll be pretty much the root of the most fundamental way of doing it. I'm not so sure that that's the way you're going to get it most in competition, but at least it gives you a start in getting a sense of where your hip needs to be. And it brings up an important point that when I do circle to attack an arm throw, it's important that I'm bringing my opponent towards the leg I'm beginning the back step with. If I'm circling him this way, or if he's circling this way, it's very difficult because I've got much more distance to travel with my hip movement. Okay, it makes it much more difficult because he's going away from the throw. Again, when we talked about defense to a throw, that was one of the things, was to kind of go away or away from the throw coming out in front of your opponent. So if I set Colby up for an arm throw, I want to be tugging him in this direction. So he's coming to me at 30 miles an hour, I'm coming to him at 30 miles an hour, circling both together, and that makes us double our speed, 60 miles an hour, if that's how fast we're going. Another setup, and actually one of my favorites, is, and I like this because this is a little bit more deceptive. If you're tied up in here like this, people sometimes know if you're in tight, you're going to throw. If they know you do an arm throw, they're pretty much ready for it. Same deal from here. A lot of times if you're in tight here, people know it's coming or something's up. I like working because I pop the head and I'll be attacking the legs, but I'll just keep this draped over and I keep a little bit of pressure here. Now you'll notice I'm not real deep here and my hand isn't this shallow. My wrist is pretty much kind of at the bottom of the bicep here. And all I'm doing is I'm just trying to put a little bit of effort here, just a little bit of pressure on, not a lot. What I'm really waiting for is as I pressure in, just slightly, and this is more sensitivity here. I just push in a little bit. If I feel him push, I'm going to take it. Can you kind of see how I got the arm there? You'll notice this is my arm's draped here. If he pushes in, I take it. If he pushes in, I take it. And notice his weight comes forward slightly. That's a very opportune time to begin an arm throw. So I'm here, and I feel, and it's a very subtle thing. I'm not like this. I'm really trying to a real powerful kind of thing. It's more of a subtle type of movement in here. And you'll notice too, I keep the leg forward that I'm going to begin my back step with. But all we're doing is here, I'm popping, and I'm just hanging here. If I feel a little bit of pressure in on this arm this way, I'm going to tug it. And as I step, I'm not going to tug and then step. I go with it. I tug. It's like I'm pulling him in and also up as I step in and down on my back step. So I'm picking him forward and up as I'm stepping down and in on my back step. If he's like this, that gives me a space to get my hips through. So again, this is more, I'm just sort of hanging here a little bit and popping the head. And I can kind of feel it. I feel like right now I felt his arm back up a little bit. That wouldn't be the time. But as soon as I feel him give a little bit of effort forward, and I can feel that against my wrist, I'm just going to step in. Now, all I do next is I continue with the throw. I want you to notice this, though. Okay, this I want to emphasize a little bit now. As I tug, don't think of tugging exactly parallel to the mat. Okay, I'm going to tug, and don't think of tugging down, because if I tug down, then it's hard for me to get underneath him, okay, with my hip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tug up like this. In other words, I'm going to tug his shoulder, not just lateral. I want to almost tug it up a little bit from here. Okay, that creates more space here and gives me a chance to come underneath. Tug, pull, and when I pull, I'm pulling him up just like we talked about with the headlock. I want to kind of pull up a little bit, which helps me get my hips under lower, okay, and keeps my hip to his hip and his head higher than my head. A simple drill to get some sensitivity with that is just to tie up here, and all I'm going to do is just sense, I just lean just ever so slightly and subtly into my opponent, okay, with this arm and shoulder. What does he do? He's going to react back, and I just want to practice this. Boom. That's all, just to get this notion. Again, I'm not jamming this in hard. I just want a little bit of a push. I want to be subtle, okay, and I just want a little bit of a push back. I don't have to have a monster push back, just a little push back, and I want to pull this up. And just practice that. So I push here, and I push in here, and I pull. Okay, that's just good practice there. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, step at the same time. Push, pull, and step at the same time.